Make sure to check us out on Letterboxd for written reviews.
for films that we've done not only on the podcast, but outside of the podcast too.
Links in the description below.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rewatch podcast. My name is Samuel,
And my name's Jaden.
and this is a podcast where we rewatch classic or current films, and then we decide whether they deserve a rewatch from you. What are we going to be talking about today, Jaden?
Another Pixar film, the first of season 2 and the first animated film of season 2, which is WALL-E.
Yeah, we talked about a few Pixar films so far, and what we talked about: Toy Story and Monsters Inc., Cars. Some
Onward,
pretty good
Soul.
ones.
We've done a few
Yes.
actually.
We've done a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in terms of how this one ranks, do you think it's going to be towards the higher end of the scale, or
I don't want to
towards
give
the
it
lower end
away.
of the scale?
I seriously don't
Don't
want
want
to
to give it away just yet?
Yeah.
Don't want to give it away just yet.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. So, story overview for this. It's a bit of a synopsis. In the distant future, a small waste collecting robot inadvertently embarks on a space journey that will ultimately decide the fate of mankind. It is directed by Andrew Stanton, who has been a writer on various Pixar films. Pixar sort of had this system where if you worked on a Pixar film once, they're going to make you work on every other Pixar film ever. So it's like it really is quite a good thing, to be honest, because Pixar films have this sort of they're very distinct in their own sort of animated
Every single
circle.
Pixar film is so different, but they all feel like they're from the same company, right?
Yeah.
Every film that Pixar does is just more unique than the last, which I've got some I've got an issue with where Pixar's going, but that's okay. We can get into that.
Yeah, I feel so. If you're like a writer, so Andrew Stanton, he was a writer on Toy Story 2, for example. He's also been a writer on the Finding Nemo and Finding Dory films, and also obviously the director and writer of WALL-E. So I feel like Pixar have this, and he's been credited for almost every other Pixar film, to be honest.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you got the Toy Story 4, Toy Story 3, A Bug's Life, Monsters Inc. So they're all sort of, they have like this family at Pixar where if you work on one film, you're essentially, I imagine these people are contracted to just work at Pixar, and they just work on every single movie. They get everyone's opinions. All these very creative people come together to sort of give their input for the story, which I think is it's a good thing that they have all sorts of really creative people that keep coming back.
Yeah.
However, obviously, there's a danger of doing that because, as you just said, Pixar films, some of them are very different, but some of them all of them are very formulaic. They're like the MCU movies. You sort of know what you're going to get.
Oh wow.
From
Okay.
each one.
Okay. Well, I have to argue with that, but I
in terms of which film do you think, like in terms of like when you sit down to watch a Pixar movie, what sort of what sort of story you're going to get given. It's not going to be anything too bizarre.
I don't know. I feel like it's the complete opposite. I feel like every Pixar film up to now has been fairly unique.
In its premise, sure, yeah, in its premise, but like I mean, in terms of like the beats that they're trying to hit with you, and like the emotional sort of how they're gonna aggressively tug at your heartstrings every time, and
yeah.
try and make you cry.
That's kind of clear cut and like formula. They do that every single time, and that's with a lot of animated films. They kind of strive for that. But yeah, in terms of the story, I feel like every single Pixar film is fairly unique. And what I was bringing up before is the fact that Pixar's moving towards this this sort of era where they're making less unique films. I feel like I was more excited for, the, you could call it like the first generation of Pixar films, and then we've got films like Onward, Soul, and now coming up Luca. If you've just seen the trailer that's released for that, they all kind of feel like they don't really have any of this Pixar feel to them, where Pixar,
Mm,
every single film's different. Every single film, kind of builds on a new world and makes new elements in the film. And these films all kind of mesh together and feel like they all kind of have like the same elements in them, which is a shame. And that's why I brought up the connection between Inside Out and Soul in our Soul podcast, and that's why I might have not liked Soul as much as I would have
mm.
hoped, is because you lose that Pixar magic where each film just kind of feels different from the last.
I completely agree. Yeah, the direction Pixar is going is sort of like, they've become so entrenched in their formula that they feel like they can't do anything as groundbreaking as perhaps, some of these
Yeah.
earlier Pixar films were. So yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, Pixar is they were very original. Like I think we spoke about this when we did Monsters Inc. Back in the day, Pixar films were very witty, and they're trying to break barriers in
Mm.
terms of the animation genre. And now that those barriers have been broken by them, they sort of have I don't know, gone into sort of complacency. They've just sort of, I don't know, thought what they were doing was good enough and just kept trying to, do the same thing
Yeah,
over and
yeah.
over again.
I want them to keep,
Mm,
exploring the genre and expanding on what's possible with animation. And the thing that Pixar does is they use their shorts to test the new animation um, techniques and different ways they can bend and manipulate the animation that's available today. And that's why they use their shorts to then put that technique in their feature length film. So they test it in their shorts, and then they bring it over to the films that
mm,
air in theater. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. In terms of cast for this movie, and any standouts, it's sort of like a Vin Diesel playing Groot situation. It's like anyone could be Wally.
Yeah.
But Wally is Ben Burt in this instance. Hang on a second, he was part of the sound department for Star Wars Episode 4 and
What?
Star Wars Episode 1.
What?
So I don't know. Maybe Wally isn't a person. Instead, he's got robot. He's credited as robot voice for Wally.
That is weird,
Um,
man. He's
it
also
is, yeah,
credited
I don't
for
know.
E.T., Indiana Jones. What
Oh
on
yeah,
earth? He's worked on some big
and
stuff.
Eve is played by Alyssa Knight, who is credited in Cars as Tia. I don't know who Tia is in Cars.
Yeah, I'm not quite
Um,
sure who that is either.
doesn't seem like she was one of
Oh,
the
it's one of the
main.
Lightning McQueen fangirls.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, great! That's funny.
that's funny. Yeah.
Obviously, we have John Ratzenberger again.
Oh yeah,
He's in
yeah. He
every.
he had a cameo. I actually spotted it. Well, I hope I spotted it. He's
Yeah,
he's one of. Is he the guy that kind of falls in love with that other girl on the Axiom?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
sweet. I picked up on it. Let's go.
Yeah, nice. We also have Sigourney Weaver,
What?
from Alien. She's
No.
the ship. She's the ship's
Oh,
computer
she is
voice.
too. I feel like I've heard of that before. Damn it.
I feel like Sigourney Weaver's in quite a few Pixar films,
Yeah,
but
she
obviously
is.
most notably for Alien that we've watched the first and second one recently.
Mm-hmm.
Quite iconic. But yeah, I don't know. She pops up in these Pixar films. But yeah, good on her, I guess. Sigourney Weaver. I didn't notice that, but I don't know. Maybe you heard it but didn't notice it, and now you can sort of,
Yeah, no, I didn't
yeah,
notice it, but now that
yeah.
you're saying it, yeah.
Pete Docter. So the guy who directed Soul. He is in this film as a lifeguard bot.
As a lifeguard
What?
bot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're just throwing everyone in here. These
What
really
on
famous
earth?
people. But obviously he's director of Inside Out and what's the other Inside Out ripoff film that he did?
Soul.
Because there's Inside Out, Soul, and I feel like there was one other, but oh no, never mind. All right. So, in terms of general thoughts, would you recommend a person who hasn't seen this film, or perhaps they haven't seen it in a while, which would be a lot of people? Would you recommend they go back and rewatch this Wally?
Yeah. I would say this is the least rewatched Pixar film for me, and I've only seen this like a number of times. Like I can count it on one
Mm,
hand. And it had been so long since I'd seen this film, and I know it ranks in the top tiers of the Pixar films. It's always in the top five somewhere. Um, and it may not be my favorite Pixar film, but I definitely think it's one of Pixar's greatest films, and that could probably be attributed to how they went out of their way to do something totally different. I mean, this film is,
mm,
when I was watching it kind of felt like a commentary on society, and it was kind of poking fun at us as like a human race. And I
mm,
like films that do that. A lot of films go too far with it, but I think this film was, it kind of hit the nail on the head, and it did it really good. Um,
okay.
but yeah, as a rewatch, I would definitely recommend it because I hadn't watched it in ages, and I think it was great.
I don't think I've ever actually seen this film, to be honest,
Yeah, it's one
from
of these
start to
films that you
finish.
have but you haven't seen.
Yeah, I feel like I had seen it, but I was watching it and I'm like, I don't remember any of this.
Mm.
I think Might have seen bits of the end, maybe, or bits and pieces. You go around to
Mm-hmm.
your friend's house and it's on the TV for a few seconds or something, but but I don't know. I never sat down and watched this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a good time with it, but I got to say I was expecting to be blown away, and I really wasn't.
Oh,
I'm not
oh,
sure.
okay.
I'm keen to talk about it. And
Yep.
I feel like this film has some attributes that really help it and really hold it back at the same time. But in terms of a 95 on Metacritic, that is incredibly high. That's up there with some of the best films of all time in terms of Metacritic score. Can't see. I think it was a 4.1 on Letterbox,
I think you're
which is
mistaken. I think it's a 4.3, isn't it?
4.3. Yeah,
Let me look it up.
Letterbox is down at the moment. So if it is a 4.3, that is incredibly high as well. Because as soon as you sort of get into the 4
4.1.
category, 4.1 it
Yep.
is. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean that's still quite high in terms of Letterbox scores. It's really hard to get up into that 4-star thing. It has to be a really, really good movie to get into the 4-star category. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. I think perhaps I expected something different. But yeah, I don't know. I'm keen to have a chat about it because I'm keen to identify the bits that I feel I didn't connect with that perhaps you did.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
any of the characters that were standouts for you in the film?
um, I really like the captain actually. I think he was
Yeah.
quite good. And Wally and Eve, I think they were great as well. So pretty much
Mm,
all of your main characters, I really liked.
yeah. And in terms of they don't have dialogue, right? Because they're just robots. At least, Wally and Eve, they say one thing. It's sort of like an I am Groot
Wally, yeah,
situation.
Wally says Eve, and I think I heard Eve say no once to Wally.
Yeah.
So she said
Mm,
Wally and no once, but all of
yeah.
Wally's
Okay.
lines were just Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think that that was a good choice? Instead, because it's interesting. We just watched Star Wars, the very first one, A New Hope,
Hmm.
and in that we have R2D2 who doesn't speak English. He just does beeps and boops, and we thought that was really quite adorable. Did you? They sort of tried to do something similar with this, right?
Yeah, yeah, very similar. Um, yeah, and you can kind of decipher what Wally and what Eve are feeling in the moment, and it's a really clever way to do dialogue. You don't see it a lot nowadays. They kind of shy away from it, which is a shame because um, I think that a lot of films, animated films nowadays, are just being spoon fed, and I think that's the problem that I have with Soul, because everyone's saying, Soul's more of a adult film that Pixar released, but if anything, I feel like Wally is an adult film, and that a lot of kids won't
Mm,
actually like this film because you don't have the guy that turns into a cat, and you don't have this
yeah.
magical land where this pirate ship like flows through this, I don't know, some sort of weird dimension.
Mm,
Wally's just like it's a very it's like monotone in a way.
yeah.
It's a very, it's not a bright film because a lot of it takes place on Earth, which is obviously being destroyed by and large. So it's very brown, and then you don't have like that dialogue that you have in a lot of Pixar's films. It's just like Wally and Eve, and you got to kind of decipher what the emotions are at the time, and that's the problem that I had with Soul, because I really wanted Soul to be more like Wally in the sense where it is really kind of targeting an adult audience, which I felt like Soul wasn't really doing that for me.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen this film, and perhaps that's a reason why. Wally came out by the time, 2008. In 2008, I was probably watching all of the animated
You were
movies. I was
watching
probably
Toy Story
watching.
for like the 10th time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At least, bro. At least.
Uh,
I was watching those on repeat at this time,
yeah.
and Wally just never was on my radar. But things like Finding Nemo, love that. Or even The Incredibles. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. It just sort of,
It's kind of the forgotten Pixar film, right?
yeah,
Which is a
sort of like
shame.
Ratatouille.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the
But
thing.
even that, I watched that before.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Wally is just it's probably the most least watched Pixar film out of all of them, which is a shame
Mm,
because I definitely think that it's one of Pixar's greatest achievements that they've done. Yeah.
So, what do you think are the aspects of this film that really push it into that sort of best Pixar sort of category? What are the special things about this specific film that you really enjoy? Is it the environment, like the sort of the underpinning of the story, having this commentary on the human race, or
hmm
is it Eve and Wally's characters and how that works, um, or is it just how the film's been made?
Um, I don't think there was anything particularly revolutionary with the animation. I'm also think that this is a standout film for Pixar because, yeah, of its commentary on the human race, and how today it's still obscenely relevant. I mean, 2021, so we're how many years later? Like 13 years later, and the
Mm,
film's still relevant. Um, I definitely think that Pixar they meant for this film to last, and they probably knew what they were getting themselves into when they made this story. Um, and I just think it's such a it's such a tight knit story, and it doesn't have many characters, and it doesn't have many explorations of the characters. But I think the story is without a doubt the highlight of this film. It really carries the film in a way, and that's not to say that the characters aren't good, because I think that they complement the story, 100%.
when you refer to story, because in this film we sort of have, we have the Wally and the Eve situation and sort of the love story that's developing there,
hmm
and then we also have the humans being on their ship and wanting to sort of you know well, not really wanting to, they're sort of grown used to being in the ship and being lazy
Couch
and all of
potatoes.
that. Yeah, exactly. And eventually getting them to appreciate Earth and come back to Earth.
hmm
Which story was the highlight for you, or was it just how it was implemented between the two?
I
You
think it
know,
all just kind of meshed into one. I think it's the
yeah.
story it's really the story of kind of coming back to Earth, and and breathing the life back into Earth and making it sustainable again. I think that's the overarching story that's really implemented here.
Mm. Yeah. So it was, both and how they sort of intertwined for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I really enjoyed the Wall-E and the Eve situation,
Mm-hmm.
but then once we got to the humans, I was a bit confused. I mean, I get what they were trying to do in terms of the social commentary, and I always enjoy, I enjoy um, these sort of end of world sort of situations where humans have stuffed up. So, for example, like in Christopher Nolan's Tenet, when we get reference to the future where the oceans dried up
Yep.
and the rivers, the rivers ran dry, and now the future's coming back to kill the past or whatever. And Interstellar as well, when the Earth is destroyed, it's very similar to Interstellar in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the humans going off into space
Yep.
when the Earth has been destroyed by them. And so I enjoyed that premise. But yeah, I don't know. I just failed to really get connected to these couch potato cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. Like once they come back to Earth, they're just going to destroy it again. Like, did they learn what went wrong in the first place? I don't really think they did, because they were drinking their lunch out of their milkshake cartons or whatever, and they're still doing the bad things that got the Earth destroyed in the first place. I don't really think there was much of a learning curve for the human race in this movie. It
Yeah.
was sort of just, oh, let's go back to Earth.
I think you have to keep in mind that these people have never seen Earth. They grew up on the Axiom, so this generation
Mm,
had never actually been to Earth before.
yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the film is kind of left up to interpretation, and we kind of have to fill in the blanks here. But yeah, there's kind of a gray area where have they actually learnt the consequences that kind of made Earth be non-habitable anymore.
Yeah.
They didn't really touch on that, but I think a lot of it's left up to us to fill in the blanks and make our own story here.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, did you get Blade Runner vibes at any stage in this
No,
movie?
but I did get Star Wars vibes, and
Oh,
I don't know
okay,
whether
okay.
you were going to pick up on that, but when the I don't know what you would call it, when the smaller spaceship kind of departed from Earth and went up to the Axiom, and then they kind of went into like the bunker. I was getting like major Star Wars vibes.
Yeah, like Death Star vibes
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see that. Yeah,
And like when the
I was
Millennium
getting.
Falcon gets pulled into it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was getting Blade Runner vibes in those first few scenes.
I
When
can see how you would though, yeah.
when it was all quiet. There's no dialogue,
Yep.
and it's just big shots of this desolate Earth, and Wally's just doing his thing.
Very orange as well.
Just yeah. And so that might have been it too, to be honest. But yeah, I really just enjoyed in those opening shots the scale. We got to see so much of the Earth, and we get to see little Wally,
Mm-hmm.
running around doing his thing, making those garbage into squares,
Yeah.
and stacking them
Do you
up
know what
neatly.
Wally stands for?
I noted it. I saw it on one of the billboards. Waste
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 allocation
allocation.
load lifter. Earth class.
Okay, nice. Awesome.
I'd never
So
known
so
that
he's
before.
yeah. So he's a robot that, like, what, has just been put on Earth just to clean it up, and he's got no friends. He's just doing it all by himself.
Yeah, well, I think Wally's kind of like a generic, umbrella term for all of these robots that
Mm.
to clean up Earth, because we saw them on the Axiom as well. The bigger version of the Wallies, where they.
Oh, did
Oh,
we?
you didn't see that? Okay, the scene where at the end where Eve and Wally they're almost going to get thrown out into the atmosphere, kind of like an alien situation.
Yeah. Okay.
And then like the tiny little robot like jams the door.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that scene. Those bigger robots that were like making all these big cubes of rubbish, they were also branded Wally.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Were they the same color as Wally, or
Yeah.
were they sort of pristine white? Oh, okay.
No, they
Same
were
color.
same color.
Oh, right.
Mm.
I just completely missed them, obviously. um, there's a bit of shameless exposition, but I really, at the very start of the film, when, Wally's just going around doing his thing, and you can sort of put it together, you're like, okay, humans have obviously destroyed the Earth, they're not here anymore. And then suddenly it's like, oh, TV advertisement out of nowhere. Guess what? Humans.
Which is crazy, right? Because this is the first time we've ever, and it is the first time that we've ever seen since humans have appeared, like actual humans have appeared in an animated film that Pixar has done.
Yeah, that was bizarre for me, bro. I
Yeah.
don't know what was. Why do you think they did that?
I have
So
no
they have
idea.
the advertisements, and they have videos
Mm.
from like of real people. They have videotapes. Wally has a videotape of real people dancing.
Yeah.
And at one stage, one of the cartoon humans, is watching the same video of real life humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what? Why is this there?
It's a bit
Why
odd,
is that different? I think I read a Letterboxd review that said, it sort of, I don't know, it symbolizes the change of the human race. They were humans as we know them,
Mm-hmm.
but now they've evolved into these cartoon characters. But I don't see why they just didn't make it all animated. Like, obviously they don't have trouble actually animating human beings at this stage because they did it for the couch potatoes. But
It's a
I
bit
don't know.
odd. Yeah, I have to admit, it's a bit odd, right?
Takes you out of it a bit. Took
Mm.
me out of it a bit
Mm.
in terms of believing this world. So I'm like, wait, so you're telling me that real humans are canon in this universe, but then so are the cartoon. Like, where was the changeover?
Yeah.
When did the humans become the cartoons?
Mm.
That's what I want to know. I want to see that transformation. Bit of Martian Manhunter action.
Yeah.
Walked outside the door and
Yeah.
whoosh, cartoon.
We have to have them in there, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit odd.
I just want to raise,
Um,
I just want to bring light to this quote that I wrote down, and it's the only note that I wrote down on this movie, which I think is a great quote. It says, it was the captain who said it, and he said, "I don't want to survive, I want to live," which I think is
that was a
great.
good quote.
I think that's a really good quote.
Good quote.
Mm.
Yeah, it was I think I might have wrote that one down too. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, no, that was a very good quote. I heard that. I'm like, oh, that could go on that could go on one of those cringe posters.
Like with a cat on it or something.
Cat poster. It's
Yeah.
funny. There's a reference to that in Lego Movie that I just watched the other day.
Yeah.
The wizard is like, that sounds like it could be on a cat poster.
Yeah, well, the whole
But it
kind of
doesn't
movie
make it any
revolves
less true.
around that cat poster, doesn't it? That's how Emmett gets
It's
back
like,
up.
leave. Yeah, and it's like Morgan Freeman, the wizard,
Yeah.
telling him what to do. Oh, funny, great movie.
God, that's a really good film.
Yeah, we should do that for some time.
Yeah, we
It
should.
is very fun. But yeah, I don't know. Apart from the fact that I was taken out by these normal humans, I enjoyed the first part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's a bit slow, for a Pixar movie. It takes its time in introducing you to Wall-E and seeing what his life is like. But did you feel like at any stage that it was going a bit too slowly, or were you just along for the ride?
At the start, I kind of felt like it was more of a short film. Like it kind of
Yes.
felt like a short film. And yeah, look, I don't think it was, particularly slow at any point. I think it took its time to kind of build the story up, which I actually preferred, because when it has that big climax, it's more of a it feels better because it's built this up so much and it's talked so much about it. And if it had just kind of rushed toward that point, then you wouldn't have as big of a as a I don't know what you'd call it, like a conclusion or something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the short film thing because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
like, this is just a compilation of a lot of really good short films.
Yep.
I feel like, when we see Wally go out to, just start his usual day and, collecting rubbish, and he's just, looking at all these different things. I'm like, this is a short film. Like, this is a 5-minute fun time. That's it. Not a lot of character. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was a lot of really cool short films sort of mashed together.
Yeah. Okay. I think I can kind of get your general rating for the film, and I've just moved it up on my Pixar ranking. So I think.
Oh, where have you got it?
Well, I'm not gonna give any
Oh,
hints. I'm
he's
still
still not going to
not gonna
reveal
give it away yet.
He's still. The suspense is killing me, bro. But we keep going.
You have to find like a good area, like a middle ground between, taking note of whether it's Pixar's best film and whether it's your favorite film. And I kind of have to
Yeah.
find my way in the middle there somewhere, because
Yes.
in terms of story, man, it's one of Pixar's best. And at the start of the pod, I said it's not particularly my favorite Pixar film. I think it's one of Pixar's most outlandish films, and one of their they explored a lot of themes with this, and it's very like I said, it's a social commentary on the human race, which I like in films. It has a meaning
Yeah.
towards it. It's not like a lot of the other films like Incredibles, Toy Story 3, Cars, where it's protagonist and villain in the film. It's not like that. It's very different.
Yeah, there really wasn't a villain per se. It was sort of, the only villain was sort of
Otto,
the robots. Yeah.
which is funny
Otto,
because
yeah.
at the end I didn't even realize that it was the steering wheel. And it was just on like
Oh, is it the
autopilot.
steering wheel?
Yeah, that's why they called
Oh,
it auto,
right.
because it was auto.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. Okay.
autopilot.
It's not a reference to Dr. Octopus then. From
Come on, man.
That's what it's called. Otto.
I wonder why it's
Otto
called
Octavius.
auto though, because he's obviously autopilot. I don't know.
No, they just shorten it. They're just too lazy to say the whole word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no,
like
no.
Australians.
He is auto. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Auto.
So auto.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They just say it a bit weird.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I remember seeing another Letterboxd review because I had quite a few. I read through quite a few reviews because I was interested to see what some other people thought about this movie, and a lot of people were sort of exploring this idea of these people who were on Earth who were then able to go up into these ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would that have been something for only the upper middle class or the upper class? And did thousands of people who perhaps weren't, financially able to, buy their ticket into the ship, were they left on Earth to starve and to die with the rest of the planet? Because we don't know.
You're getting into very dark
imagine
territory.
Yeah. And obviously, I don't blame Pixar for not telling us the answer to this. But some of these Pixar films, man, if you think about them a bit more deeply, some very dark things going on.
Very dark themes.
Yeah. So, do you think? Because obviously, we saw a few of these spaceships in space, but is there more out there, or is that it? Like, where are the other billions of people? Did some people not make it onto the ship?
It's a lot of it's left to be unknown, and who knows, some sort of a virus might have killed out 99% of the population, and then this is the 1% that's left, and they all made their way onto the Axiom. Or on the other hand, they might have had to pick and choose people to come on the Axiom and say
Yes, a bit of a Hunger Games situation.
You can stay here on Earth and die.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll probably never know the answer because Pixar is not like that, and it's really a children's it's a children's film company, so to
What about
dive into that would be very unlike them.
what about a 15-minute short film called, like, I don't know, the Wall-E Hunger Games or something?
Well,
where
there
it's
is a
like,
short film released. It's
there is.
called
I saw
Bernie.
one of them. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm sure it's not about that though. I'm sure it's not
Yeah,
about
no.
mass genocide.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, yeah. How cute was it when Wally's holding his own hand? Oh, it just
Yeah,
breaks your heart,
yeah.
doesn't it?
I think he's great. I love
And
the character.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, he's very cute. He's definitely one of the best Pixar protagonists.
Mm.
Up there with Lightning McQueen and I don't know, some other cute Mike Wazowski. Oh, speaking of which, um, Wally or Mike Wazowski, who's the biggest simp?
Who's the biggest? This is gonna be the intro again. Wally or Mike Wazowski? God, that's a hard one. I really don't know.
It's something that could be debated about over various hours
Yeah.
of rigorous debate could be had
Yeah, that's actually a
over
good
this sort of-
question.
because Mike Wazowski, he would do anything for Cecilia or whatever her name is,
Yeah.
with the weird
Medusa.
Yeah. And but then Wall-E, like, he literally jumps on a spaceship and the spaceship flies off into space. He's just
Yeah,
hanging
it's
on
kind
to
of
the
giving me
spaceship,
Tom
like,
Cruise vibes.
yeah,
Hanging onto a spaceship.
I'm sure Wall-E did his own stunts too,
Yeah.
so credit to him.
I don't
But,
know. I feel like it's still Mike Wazowski.
just from the blatant simpness of
Yeah.
Mike Wazowski.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wall-E sort of, is a bit cute about it, whereas Mike Wazowski is just very obvious.
That'll be like a rewatch award. The biggest sin.
Yep, that's got to be. Yeah, funny how Mike Wazowski got that one last season, obviously.
Yeah.
How about when Wall-E's going through the garbage and he sees a box with a wedding ring in it, and then he throws the
Chucks it
wedding
away.
ring out
Yeah.
and he keeps the box.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
funny.
it wouldn't have any worth, right? Because there's no currency exchange on Earth. No one else is on Earth.
I think he's just a stupid robot. I think that was just a funny thing for us to be like, oh, look what he values. He doesn't really value a shiny thing that we would value.
Yeah.
He just values the box.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Bit of a subversion of expectations.
I mean, what are you gonna do with a wedding ring? I think a box that has a hinge on it's probably more worth to Wally in that situation.
to Wall-E. Yeah, I mean, he could have given the ring to Eve, couldn't he? But
He could have.
he wasn't really simping for her at that time. He didn't really know who she was.
No.
Or, he hadn't met her yet, so fair enough. But yeah, I just said, Wall-E's just being a simp. That's the movie. That 30 minutes in, there's hardly a plot. A plot hasn't really been established yet, and it's sort of just Wall-E just going around doing his thing. And while I was sort of invested in how cute he was, I don't know. I feel like the movie could have kicked off a bit sooner in terms of getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of harkens back to the fact that it's not made for children, and I think it's probably one of Pixar's first times that they really targeted an adult audience. So a lot of adults are going to wait around for the storyline to pick up, whereas kids are not going to be invested in this. 5 minutes into the film, if it doesn't have Buzz Lightyear jumping off, falling with style, then kids are going to be out of it. And no offense to you here, but I feel like a lot of I'm not calling you a kid, but I feel like the storyline, even though it took its time to get going, I still feel like it's one of the more established storylines that Pixar has made.
I mean, you're speaking to someone whose one of the favorite movies is Blade Runner 2049.
Exactly,
which is
right?
about as slow as it gets.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I was like, I really do enjoy, a slow story, and I really like those first few scenes of Wall-E just, quietly
Mm-hmm.
going about his day. Um, but yeah, I was sort of, because I knew that there was this human element, and there were fat humans, because it's become a bit of a meme. Um, and so I knew that they were going to come into the story somehow. But I was like, where are they? Like, but I don't know. Maybe that's just my expectation of these animated movies. Maybe I just expected it to be more, action focused, or you'll get the story rolling a bit more.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but yeah, instead of this sort of extended period of Wall-E just going about his day, living his life, and you're meeting Eve and stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the humor in this movie. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
a couple really funny moments. One funny moment for me was when Wall-E's up on the Death Star, or on
The Death
the ship,
Star.
the and he's getting cleaned by this little droid, this cleaning droid. I thought that droid was hilarious.
Yeah.
That he like mops the floor up as he goes.
Yeah.
Um, and he's sort of cleaning Wall-E, and then Wall-E just like makes another piece of, like, he just
Yeah.
puts his foot on a different spot,
Just to annoy him.
just
And then
just to
he
annoy him.
cleans it on him. Like he puts his
Yeah,
tread
and then
on
he
him.
just puts his foot.
Yeah.
He just puts his foot on the droid. Oh, that had me laughing, I will say.
Mm.
I just thought that was very funny, just how Wall-E was just interacting with this little droid. That
Yeah.
was, very funny. But any other moments that you thought the humor really worked for you?
Yeah, there were a lot of moments that I think were really good. But none really come to mind. Which is pretty bad, because considering I just watched this film like an hour ago. But I just wanted to touch on the scoring on this film really quick,
Okay.
and I don't know who it's by, but I think it was fantastic.
Tom Newman, I think
He
hang on.
can't be related to Randy Newman. Hold up.
Let me see. Wall-E. The official soundtrack is by. It is by Thomas Newman.
Thomas Newman. He can't be related
Do
to
you want to
Randy
look that
Newman.
up
I'm
and see
gonna
if
look it
he's
up.
related to Randy Newman?
Thomas
Because if he is,
Newman.
there is some serious music talent running through the family, if he is in fact related to Randy Newman.
He is a
Thomas
member.
Newman
I think
he's also done the music for Nemo, 1917.
Yeah, I think it was great. His cousin's Randy Newman. There you go.
Okay.
I think it
Gotta
was
have those
great.
connections. Did the music for Spectre, the James
Spectre.
Bond movie.
Oh.
Skyfall. Oh, that was good music in Skyfall.
He's done quite a lot of films.
Yeah, obviously Finding Nemo's a big one.
Shawshank. Holy moly.
Really?
He's done a lot of big stuff.
Yeah, we haven't come across Thomas Newman before, have we?
No.
don't
We've
think
seen
so.
a lot of Randy Newman, but Thomas Newman.
But you enjoyed the music?
I think it was fantastic. I really liked it in the film. Nothing really stood out to me, but I feel like the music really complemented what was happening on screen really well.
Okay.
And I think the scene where Eve and Wally are kind of playing in space with the fire hydrant, I think the music in that was really good.
That was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments where you're like, oh, this is just beautiful.
I definitely think
very cute.
It's one of Pixar's most beautiful films. Because man, some of those shots, where Wally's on the outside of the Axiom when he's not on the Axiom, on the outside of the smaller spaceship when he's traveling to the Axiom, it really reminded me of Interstellar. You've got the big nebulas and the galaxies and all of the different colors. It just looked phenomenal, man.
Yeah, and when he's flying like right next to the sun, which is obviously incredibly dangerous, and he would have been fried in a second, but he busts out his solar panel and he like fully charges in like a millisecond.
And then we get
Very funny.
the Max sound boot up.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was odd. Why is the Mac
Oh,
sound?
you don't know?
You know,
Okay.
did Apple pay them?
Steve Jobs first started as a I think he was a co-owner of Pixar.
Yes, I knew he was. So is that the connection? That's
That's the
why. That's why the
connection. Yeah.
Mac. Ah, okay, interesting. Because I know didn't he own Pixar right at one stage, or he had a stake in it,
Yeah,
or
yeah. He was either
something? Or
co-owner or owner or had a stake in it or something. And
yeah.
then he ended up leaving to obviously pursue Apple. And then I think it's just Pixar's way of saying, "Hey, thank you for everything that you've done for us." So
Mm,
it's nice
yeah.
that they did that.
Yeah, bit of product placement, bit of that. that-
Yeah.
It's funny though. It's funny though hearing that because obviously it's not the sound of the. Is it still the sound of the Mac as you boot it up, or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just the old one?
No, it's
Oh, it
still the
still
sound.
is.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, there you go. So continuing marketing for Apple there.
Yep.
Very nice. I'm sure they're very happy with that.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I've just got a few more notes of how much of a simp Wally is.
Soon.
Um, can we talk a bit more about these humans on the ship and
Yeah.
the sort of the connotations that have? Because I think that's one of the most interesting parts of the film.
Hmm.
A lot of people think that it depicts humanity perfectly. A lot of people also think that it's way too far. You know, humans wouldn't be this far
This
gone. It's sort of
lazy.
like it sort of feels like in some ways it's the whole when the parents are like, oh, these teenagers, they're looking at the screens constantly, they do nothing else.
Mm.
It's sort of like that sort of perspective on the human race.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
No, yeah. I definitely understand that, and it's kind of like if you're gonna be on your computer all day, you're just gonna end up like becoming one with the couch, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny, and I think back in obviously 2008, things are a lot different, and I don't think there's any doubt about it that humanity is probably getting worse. Um, so yeah, are we building towards this sort of this Wally? What would you call it? Like it's like a prophecy. I don't know. It doesn't seem too far away for me. That's all I'm saying.
Do you mean in terms of how we're destroying the earth, or are you more
How we're
talking about
how the,
the
yeah how we're
behaviors?
destroying the earth and how the humans are kind of projected in this film. It doesn't seem
Yeah, okay.
all that far away for me.
Doesn't seem okay. Okay, it seems a bit too far of a reach for me because I don't know. I feel like even if this were to happen, and even if humans were trapped in this spaceship for years and years and years, I feel like they would still want to do more than just sit around all day looking at a not very interesting screen. And there's one moment where I think it's John who's the returning human. He's talking to his mate, and his mate's like right next to him,
Mm.
but he's looking at him on the screen, and I'm like, that just wouldn't happen. Like that's something that um, the older generations think that the young people do.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
get
know. I
where you're
think
coming
it's
from there.
sometimes it's a bit of an exaggeration, but overall, I really like reflecting on how humans can improve. How humans
Hmm.
have destroyed the earth. I mean, we're currently destroying the earth. I agree with you there in the sense that like we are on the way there in terms of
Yeah.
creating the earth like this. Because when's the movie set? I think they said the humans left in like what 22
Two
21
two
something.
thousand one hundred and ten or something.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
not far off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, certainly getting there. But yeah, I just think more of you know the the sitting on the couch all day and watching screens and then being like, oh wait, we have a pool.
Yeah.
I've never noticed the pool before.
It's
It's like that just wouldn't
very
happen.
very over exaggerated, right? But I
Yeah,
think the film had to do that to achieve what it was trying to tell and
yeah,
get
sure.
across the
Hmm.
the message. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, animated movies sometimes you have to exaggerate the point a bit more to, really drive it home. They're not really subtle films, are they?
No, no.
But then at the same time, a lot of the relationships between Wally and Eve and how they sort of interact. It's their subtle, it's the subtle movement of their faces and their hands, and it's how these small movements they're doing that are conveying the message.
Hmm.
So in many ways, this film is sort of like hitting you in the face with humanity is bad,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they don't want to make Wally a speaking character,
Mm.
and they'll just give you beeps and they just make him say one word, and from that they want to convey the story of love, and it's like it's a bit of a clash.
Yeah. Okay.
um
Okay. I think
yeah.
yeah. I'm quite on the opposite end of the spectrum there. I think what they did with Wally in terms of limiting his dialogue and kind of trying to achieve this love story with Eve at the same time, I think they pulled it off. Perfect. Almost.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think they pulled it off for sure.
Yeah.
I think they pulled it off. I also think though that it is both the best and the worst thing about this film, the fact that Wally doesn't talk, and the fact that Eve doesn't talk,
Mm-hmm.
because he creates some really nice moments where he's like Eve, and it's like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, you can't really connect with the characters beyond being like, oh, they're so cute. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Were you able to invest in the characters?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know quite where you're going with that, but no, I definitely think that Wally had some. I could connect with him on a level. He really wanted to restore the earth and be with Eve, and I I didn't really see anything wrong with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with the subtlety of it. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted a bit more to get connected to him. I didn't really, you know. Perhaps I just need a bit more dialogue. Perhaps when it comes to animated movies, I expect less
Yeah.
subtlety, and I need a bit more of a connection with the characters in terms of the experiences and how they feel about the experiences.
Yeah, well,
But
there's nothing wrong with that, right? And I think that's probably why some of your favorite films from Pixar are Toy Story and
mm,
a lot of those other big ones, and they're great films. But at the same time, I feel like yeah, limiting the dialogue in this film kind of allowed the story to go above the dialogue, and it was very clear what they were trying to do with the story because there wasn't too much dialogue interfering with it. And I think that's what made the film for me is the fact that Wally and Eve don't speak all that much
mm.
because they don't need to, and I think it really works with the story in this situation. You couldn't do this with Toy Story; it absolutely wouldn't work. I mean,
Oh yeah.
and it would make
Oh
it, at the
gosh.
same time, it also makes sense to have not talking characters in Toy Story, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's just a different type of film, and it wouldn't work the same.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I say it's the best and the worst thing for me personally. Like that's my opinion. Like
Hmm.
I feel like certain times where for example, like when they're flying around in space and then Wally's his fire extinguisher runs out,
Yeah.
and then Eve picks him up and he's like Eve, and you're like, oh, that's so nice. Like there's no other way that you could have made that moment more cute by making him actually say something like
Yeah.
with words, say like, oh, thank you, or or say something. But so in one instance it worked really well, but I feel like in the entire movie, like especially towards the end, I'm like, I don't know, do I really like I feel like he's one of the best protagonists at the same time. I don't know, it's really odd. I'm a bit I don't know, a bit indifferent
Okay. Yeah.
as to connecting to the main characters because they didn't say a word, and that's fine to feel like to empathize with them, to see how cute they are.
Hmm.
But I don't know, perhaps I just wanted a bit more. But hey, that's probably just my personal.
Yeah.
It's probably just my personal take.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, that's all good. Um, I mean, every person has different opinions and likes what they want to see in a film, and I wouldn't want to watch every film like this because I feel like dialogue is one of the most important things in film, and when you take that away, it's either hit or miss. You either got a really really good film, or you've got a film
Mm,
that's just absolutely going to fall apart because your characters aren't adding any sort of oomph to the story. They're not giving anything to it. And we've seen it happen so many times where dialogue's just been limited and the film's just been an absolute abomination of a film. Yeah.
Lunch in a cup. Would you try that?
Hell no. That sounds absolutely horrid. Imagine having like a cheeseburger like mashed up and
Yeah, it's gross,
grinded into
man.
this sort of this slushy consistency.
Yeah, so yeah, not a fan. Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw another person on Letterboxd sort of say that it's very brave of Disney slash Pixar to tell a story where a mega corporation destroys the world,
Mm-hmm.
considering like Disney is like one of the biggest corporations
Yep.
in the world.
Yep.
And if anyone's going to destroy the world, it's probably going to be either Disney or Amazon.
Yeah, Disney's kind of like the by and large of our world, right?
Exactly, yeah.
It's scary,
So, I don't know,
man. It's very scary.
yeah. So at the same time, here they are sort of reflecting on humanity, but then perhaps, they're not really reflecting on themselves very much.
Yeah.
They tell us that we're all going to get fat because we're lazy and pathetic human beings.
Mm.
And then here they are,
Yeah. Yeah.
A bit odd.
Hypocrites. Look,
Yeah. Did you oh, sorry, go on.
I just wanted to point this out. This film was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. And
6? That's a lot.
Academy Awards, and it ties with the only other animated film to garner this many nominations. Do you want to have a guess as to what it might be?
Toy Story 3.
That came. Oh, okay. It previous to WALL-E release.
Oh, previous to WALL-E.
Yeah.
Toy Story.
Beauty and the Beast, 1991.
Oh, fair enough. That's one of the I mean, oddly, is one of the most critically acclaimed animated movies.
Yeah. It's a
not
really,
even like Snow White.
really good Disney film. And I just wanted to go through some of the Pixar films that had been released prior to WALL-E's release in 2008 and just go through these films. And these films didn't reach the amount of nominations that WALL-E had. So obviously we had Toy Story, and then we had A Bug's Life, which isn't as good. But Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, and then we get WALL-E. None of those films
that's
touched 6 Academy Awards.
That's probably most of those would end up in the top sort of 10 of my Pixar list.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
That's insane.
I think it speaks to how critically acclaimed WALL-E is as a film, and I think it's a lot more. I think it resonates with critics a lot more. A lot of critics are gonna, suck this up. They're gonna love this one, and it's kind of like Soul in a way. But yeah, I just think it's an adult film that will. It's really, really targeted towards adults and critics and a lot of kids, and it's probably one of Pixar's least watched films in terms of its audience. And a lot of kids just would have skipped over this film because they're not interested in it. But it's definitely one of Pixar's greatest achievements with their films.
For sure. I want to touch on a few more things before we wrap up. I've got the human interactions between John and the woman character that I don't think we actually got her name, but how there's 2 humans and they both get their screens shut off by WALL-E at one stage and they sort of fall in love or whatever. I thought that was very wholesome, obviously very on the nose, and very convenient, but yeah, still enjoyed it. It was very wholesome how they're starting to appreciate real things again. And once they've removed their computer screens, they're appreciating each other. All very nice, very nice. The robot Avengers at the end, I thought it was really cool to see. Obviously, how the WALL-E has sort of like recruited robots for his cause as he goes. And he's sort of got like this gang of robots. So we sort of have the robot Avengers.
Yeah,
at the end
I don't remember that ever happening in the film, but I think it was quite good.
And obviously the quote is, I don't want to survive, I want to live. That's very nice.
I think that was fantastic, that quote.
I think the best thing about this movie is the love story between Eve and Wally, because I don't know, I would hesitate to call this any other sort of film. I don't really think it's a action film or it's a adventure film.
I'm
It sort of is an adventure
I'm very
film, sort of.
interested as to what they labeled this film because I would have no idea what to call it.
Yeah, because I would call it a love story. That's what I.
Family adventure.
I mean, you could call anything that. Anything that's rated G, you could call family adventure.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
so every Pixar film, right? We've obviously gotten into the habit of finding a few Easter eggs, and
Mm,
every single time we do a Pixar film, I always point them out to you. But I want to see if you knew what any of them were in this film. Okay,
no.
come on. Okay, the Pizza Planet truck. Did you see that one?
No,
Okay,
no, I didn't see it.
I'll give you a miss on that because I didn't see that one either. But
Okay.
tell me you saw A113.
What's A1? Is that the number that's appeared in a few?
That's the number that appears in every Pixar film. It appeared on the license plate of Andy's mum's car in Toy Story.
Okay.
You don't know where it
Was
was?
it on the side? Was it on the side of a spaceship?
No. It appeared in
Oh,
Otto's face, A113. It's like what
oh
he's like
right.
labeled as.
No, I missed
It
that.
was like right in front of your face. Like you couldn't miss it. Anyways, yeah. That's where they were in the film.
Yeah,
As for the Pizza Planet
yeah.
truck, I'm not quite sure.
Oh, so we missed that one.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was in the urban sprawl shots. When we're first introduced to the ship and there's like the shopping malls and whatever. I'm sure they sneak it in there somehow. Because I feel like they always sneak it in the shots that have big scale, lots of things going on. Just put the Pizza Planet truck in the bottom left.
Yeah. It's probably in some garbage pile somewhere, right?
Yeah, oh, could be, yeah, could be in a garbage pile. That's very true. Could be just destroyed on Earth.
Yeah, I'm just going through some IMDb trivia here, and I think this trivia here is great. So, the name Wally is a tip of the hat to Walter Elias Disney.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Because
Is that the founder of Disney?
yeah,
Yep.
Walter Disney.
Yep.
Yeah.
Walt Disney. There you go. Very cool.
I think that's fantastic. And just going back to Ben Burt here, the voice of Wally, was it?
Yes. Yeah.
So Ben Burt had just completed Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. And he told his wife that he never wanted to work on another film that involved robots. He changed his mind when Pixar talked through the ideas for Wall-E, which he found fresh and exciting. It's a great
Right. Fair enough. Yeah. I'm sure it would have felt oddly familiar from someone coming from Star Wars.
Yeah.
To Wall-E.
Yeah.
It's a bit of inspiration taken from Star Wars, as there are on most things. Most things take inspiration from Star Wars, but this film, just the setting of it, the spaceships, and yeah. Apparently, there's a lot of references to 2001: A Space Odyssey, but that's a movie that we're both still procrastinating to watch.
Yeah, we can't comment on that until we've seen it. So I've seen it. There's a lot of trivia on it here, but I'm not going to go into it because
there's a lot of 2001 trivia.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that we're just going to continue to procrastinate watching that 3-hour movie that I already know I'm not going to like it. So,
that's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, got to persevere. Got to do it.
Anyways, do we?
Yeah, you got anything? Anything else you want to?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Music segment then. I'm going to put. Well, I did put in this soundtrack called Wall-E, which is sort of like Wall-E's theme, I guess. I chucked that in the Rewatch playlist, but I'm happy to. There's a song called Thrust, which I imagine is the song where they're dancing in space. Because obviously Wall-E's got the fire extinguisher. So, or maybe it's called something else. I'll find it. if you want me to put that one in the rewatch playlist, I'll chuck that one in because that's a very nice song.
I think there's so many songs in here that have that aren't like Disney originals that were like fantastic as well.
Oh, like the old music.
Yeah, a lot of the old music I think was really really good as well.
Yeah, just the love music. It came in when they're having the love story between Wally and Eve.
Yeah,
Yeah, very nice. But yes, I'm happy to put in Wally and Thrust into the rewatch playlist.
Yeah, that works.
Sweet. So if you'd like to check that one out, just search the rewatch playlist on Spotify. You can have a listen to a couple songs that we've put in from every movie we've ever watched on the Rewatch podcast.
Yep.
Oh, so wrapping up, do you want to get... Actually, maybe I should go first, because I
You
feel
go
like you
on.
might want to respond. You might want to respond to a few things I say.
Yeah.
So in terms of my final thoughts, I think this is a very simple story, as all Pixar stories are, but it's told relatively well. There was little dialogue, which was both a positive and a negative for me.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the complexities of the humans.
Yep.
And what happened there, the human race, the commentary on that. I liked it. It was a bit exaggerated, but at the end of the day, this is what animated movies are. So I appreciate it. I'm sure they're not, telling every human, including themselves, that we're destined to become these big fat couch potatoes in space.
Yeah.
But I get what they were trying to say, and I appreciate what they're trying to say. I thought the ending was supposed to be a tearjerker. I don't know. I had this sort of premonition, or this I sound like Batman, but
I had a premonition.
I had a dream, almost like a premonition, that the end of the movie was going to try and make me cry. Like, I feel like a lot of Pixar movies, and for some reason, I had this notion that Wall-E's ending was very sad.
Yeah.
Like, I thought one of the characters was going to die, but it wasn't. So I was a bit surprised by that.
Yeah.
And it sort of just ended. I was like, wait, okay, is that the end? Oh, it's the end. All right. Okay. But the fact that Wall-E and Eve don't talk is both the best and the worst thing about the movie for me. Overall, I was expecting a lot better from the film, to be honest. But maybe just my expectations were too high. If it sits at a 94 or 95 on Metacritic, you're going to have high expectations.
Yeah.
And then I've said a few times, perhaps, I just enjoy a bit more of a structured film and a bit more of a straightforward story when it comes to these animated films.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the fact that this movie has nuance, right? Where a lot of other animated movies don't. This movie doesn't tell you a lot, and instead tries to tell you things about the story in other ways, like visually, for instance. And I think the film thrives in its quiet moments. However, just to summarize, I just feel like I missed a bit of connection from the film. I missed a bit of immersion and that connection that I really have with some other animated movies. Maybe that's just nostalgia that I'm missing from this movie. Could possibly be that. But overall, I'm going to give it a B.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's a very justified rating. And I think this film is very hit or miss for many people. I don't think I'm kind of going against the crowd when I say it's probably one of Pixar's least watched films. A lot of people just would have skipped this one. I mean, I haven't seen this film in a very, very long time. And that's probably why it wasn't, so high on my Pixar ranked list. And I just wanted to mention real quick, and this is going to give some sort of a hint as to what I'm going to rate the film. This was placed as number 8 on my list. And before it were Ratatouille, The Incredibles, Monsters, Inc., Toy Story 3, Cars, and Up. And they weren't in any particular order there. So it placed as number 8, and I've just moved it up to number 4. Which I think is a very fitting list. So before it is Ratatouille, The Incredibles, and Monsters, Inc. And then obviously comes a Wall-E. Yeah, I honestly, I don't think it's one of my favorite films. which I've just repeated so many times, I sound like a broken record right now. But it's one of Pixar's most ambitious films, and it's also probably one of Pixar's most relevant films. It really feels like it's very relevant today in 2021, just as it was back in 2008. You can't say the same for any of other Pixar films because they're all really character oriented films, and they really
For sure.
delve into like character expositions and building upon their arcs. Whereas this film here, the story is the center focus here. The characters don't have any dialogue on them, so how can you really connect with the character if it doesn't have any dialogue, which they do achieve, but it's nowhere near on the level of Buzz Lightyear, Woody, or even Sully from Monsters Inc. It's really it's a story movie rather than a character movie, which I appreciate because I couldn't name any other Pixar film that has done this. Like, I'm looking through the list now, and
It's very unique. It's very unique.
it's Pixar's most unique film, I would say, and I appreciate that because you don't see a lot of studios that do that nowadays. They're really money grabs, and they try to drag in all of the children that they can. If this film came out this year, 2021, no one would watch it.
It would fail,
which is a shame. It's kind of like Blade Runner in a way. It's the film, to quote you, it's the film that nobody saw. What did you say? It was a really good quote.
It's the best. It's the best film that nobody saw.
There you go. Which I think is very relevant to this film as well. And enough blabbering on from me. I think the music was good. I think how they handled the characters was really good. Obviously, the story was phenomenal to me. And I think just for that reason, man, it deserves an A rating, which I think is very justified for this film.
Okay. So it's going to be up in your top tier in Pixar, top 5.
I'm very surprised. I had rated this as number 8, and now it's number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Well, interesting. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to see how, even animated movies, you think, they'd be less divisive, they'd be less, everyone would sort of have similar opinions, right? It's just an animated movie. It's made for kids.
Yeah.
Right? It's just simple story, But no, even sort of these movies, and sort of like when you talk about it enough, you can sort of, see where certain things don't work for some people and other things work great for different people.
Yeah,
But,
and I mean,
yeah.
you know me, man. Like, if I don't like a movie, I'm gonna rate it low. I mean, you've seen it with, The Devil All the Time and Attack of the Clones. If I don't like a film, I'm not gonna rate it high. And I think that just speaks levels on what this film is, because like I said, it's not my favorite. That's why I've got other films placed above it. But to be deserving of an A rating and I not enjoy the film as much as other films, and to get the A rating, that just says a lot about what this film is. Because, like I said, I have to find a middle ground between, being a film that I enjoy and being a technically good film, like in terms of all of the technical elements of the film. And I think that the technical elements of the film overshine or overweigh favoritism here, because I mean, there's several films in here that I would say I had more fun with. Incredibles 2, Inside Out, Cars, Up, Nemo, several films, probably even Soul, that I had more fun with. But WALL-E, man, it's just such a technically revered film. It's so good. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. No, that was very nice. Very, very good thoughts there. So it's going to be a B from me, an A from Jaden. And with that, we'll wrap up the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Rewatch podcast. We're well through season 2 at the moment. We're going to continue to bring some more episodes out. And hopefully soon we'll get to Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh, hell
which
yes.
will be a big one. But yeah, we might put it off another week or so. Might do something else. We'll see.
Yep.
You'll have to stay tuned to the Instagram. Follow us there at the Rewatch Pod. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got a few other videos that have gone live recently, so you can support them. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you've watched this far. That would be much appreciated. And we'll catch you next time.
Yep.
Thank you for listening.
See ya.